How's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad to be here. My name is Anna Mossing and I'm the CFO for Rude Brewed Coffee Company. I'm here with you today to talk about the conclusions and recommendations portion of our proposal. In the conclusion and recommendations proposal, or section of the proposal, I hope to show you exactly how Rude Brewed Coffee Company intends on getting us to where we need to go with the supply agreement. In order for us to have a successful supply agreement between Fast Tracks and Rude Brewed Coffee Company, we're suggesting or making the following recommendations. Construction of the coffee supply stations themselves at each of the convenience stores. Second, the installation of the coffee making equipment at each of the convenience stores. Third, filling or supplying each of the coffee stations with Rude Brewed Coffee Company merchandise. And finally, the maintenance agreement signed between Fast Tracks and Rude Brewed Coffee Company to keep your equipment and supply maintained at optimum levels at all times. That being said, let's dive a little deeper into these 4 recommendations. All right, so the very first recommendation involves the construction of the coffee stations themselves. This is going to happen or going to be done by actual construction contractors that will go out to each of the convenience stores and construct the coffee stations themselves. Once the coffee stations have been constructed, we're going to move on to the installation of the coffee machines. Now, the installation of the coffee machines themselves will be installed by a subcontracting coffee equipment vendor that comes out and installs all the machines, makes sure they're in perfect working order. At that time, everything's ready to go and all we need is product. So here comes Rude Brewed Coffee Company product on the way and ready to get filled up at each of these new coffee stations. So once the supply once the self-service coffee stations have been fully supplied with Rude Brewed product, we will move to the maintenance agreement, which pretty much means that Rude Brewed Coffee Company will be contracted by Fast Tracks to maintain the equipment as well as supply all of the coffee needs of each of the stores. All right, so now that we've described the recommendations, I will transition over to what do we need to do to get there. And what we need to do to get there is the first thing that we want to talk about on what do we need to do to get there is store priority. So based on the research that we've done through US Census Bureau data, we've decided that these store locations should be prioritized for construction and implementation of the coffee self-service first. So we'll start with Sugar Land, move on to Lake Jackson, move on to Rockport, Port Lavaca, Victoria. Victoria has 4 locations: Rosenberg, Edna, Cuero, Bay City, El Campo, Richmond, Yoakum, Wharton, and Beeville. And the reason that we're doing them in this order is because we believe that these first stores have a higher profit-making expectation than do the latter ones. So we prioritize them based on how much profit each would bring it to get there first. So the next item on the how do we get there from here is the construction schedule. Okay, so this is important. The construction schedule, we're thinking, or our plan is that once we sign the agreement between Fast Tracks and Rude Brewed Coffee Company, we're giving ourselves a 7-day window to commence construction at the very first store. So from the beginning of day 1 would be the contract is signed. 7 days later, we're proposing that we begin construction, and construction at the first store will last 7 days or have a 7 days duration. Once that construction is complete, the installation of the coffee equipment is put into in place, and that we're estimating takes approximately 3 days to do. 3 days later, we stock and quality test our equipment as well as supply everything, and we're thinking it's going to take us about 2 days to get all of the merchandise up and running and ready and everything in the shape that it's supposed to be in for our grand opening. On day 19, we have a complete and ready for service store. So from the inception to complete and ready for service, we're estimating that it's going to take 19 days. We will, however, once the construction is completed at store number 1, the construction crew will move over to store number 2, and this will have a staggering effect in the construction schedule, so that store number 1 will start at day 7 and complete at day 19, and then store number 2 will start at day 15 and complete at day 27, and so on and so forth, all the way through until we get to the final store. Store number 17 starts at day 120 and completes at day 132. So we're estimating that we can get all 17 stores complete, up, and ready to go in 132 days. Exciting! I think so. All right, so after the construction schedule, we have install the coffee equipment, supply the coffee, and start selling. And then finally, the self-service coffee stations are complete. And that's pretty much it. Super easy. So once we have the construction schedule, the construction of the supply, the construction of the service of the coffee service stations each, supply of the coffee, Rude Brew Coffee Company coffee itself, installation of the coffee equipment. I apologize for that interruption of my cat, and I don't want to start over because I'm extremely tired, so here we go. All right, so finally, the next main point that I'm trying to make is the maintenance agreement. So let's go there, maybe. All right, maintenance agreement. So once we've established everything that we've just talked about, we enter into the maintenance agreement. And the maintenance agreement basically means that we have Rude Brew Coffee Company technicians will go out and regularly maintain your equipment. Everything from cleaning, disinfecting, quality testing, making sure everything's running appropriately, all of that kind of thing will happen on a regular frequency. If there's an emergency, something's spewing or whatever, that's also, there's a different separate section there, and we'll get one of our technicians out ASAP. So the maintenance agreements are pretty cut and dry. It's your typical agreement as far as maintenance goes. So we are here to help and very excited to be part of the team, and we hope that this all goes as planned. After the maintenance equipment maintenance agreement is done, that's pretty much it. So in conclusion, we talked about, we chose the supply agreement option. The construction of each of the coffee stations will take approximately from inception to completion and ready for service 19 days for the first store, 132 days for all the stores. Installation of the coffee machine, supply each of the self-service stations, equipment maintenance agreement, and that's it. That brings us to our conclusion of this portion. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I know I kind of breezed through that really quick and we had the cat incident, so I apologize for that. If there are no questions or comments, I'm available to answer anything you have. Just reach me anytime. I'm always up for conversation. Rude Brew Coffee Company looks forward to working with you very much. So I really, really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good night. Thank you.